for meeting with us. We are saddened to hear Karen's absence. We wish her well. We hope that this recording and your note-taking will serve as enough information to help your team make decisions on the things we present to y'all today. And if we are needed for follow-up, we'll make ourselves available to y'all. So thank you. We want to begin with saying over the last 3 months, we have put forth article language which we believe will positively impact officer health, financial fitness, and professional development. Over the last couple of months, we've come back and forth with respect to language on several articles, and unfortunately, we can't see eye to eye and come to a conclusion. We agree to disagree on these matters. However, in the spirit of compromise, we are ready to move forward and accept language on 3 articles. I'll begin with the first one, Article 11. If you recall, we initially asked for 40 hours of mental health sick leave that would allow for overtime. We have heard the response from the city and y'all's team, and we are looking forward to that language in the future, but we are ready to TA on the language for that article with respect to what we had brought up and keep it status quo. Additionally, Article 24 regarding promotion, this was one that we thought would benefit officer development, and I'm strongly opposed to the language not having a timetable and set. JJ also led some concerns. We will take the word with the city with respect to not holding positions open unduly to negatively impact officers who are looking to promote. So with that, we as well will, in good faith, move forward with the city's language on the promotion language. And that was Article 24. Lastly, Article 16 with respect to resignation. We appreciate the city defining disciplinary probation. We again see differently the need to change this article, and we feel that in the event a grievance is necessary, we will move forward aggressively with respect to how we see it being held and administered. Yet, in the spirit of compromise, we too will take the clear boundary the city has defined, and we look forward to TA on that as well. So with that, I'd like to move directly on to Article 13. The city's stance has maintained to keep the expiration of the MOU with respect to state officer certification examination reimbursement payments up to $5,000. We feel that this language is necessary for the recruitment efforts in the future that the city will see. We find that this program is a low-cost recruitment effort that will help us retain and recruit the best. And we look forward to having a further discussion on maintaining the language that the MOU currently has to extend it into this contract as well. Additionally, we feel with respect to Appendix D, the lump sum payment of $2,500 for new hire employees at the 6-month benchmark of the new hires start is necessary for recruitment efforts as well. We look forward to having any further discussion the city may have on that. I know the financial folks are not here today, but our recruitment team is very concerned that other efforts in the Northeast Florida area regarding incentive pays and these types of hiring pays are industry standard now, and we feel that the Jacksonville Beach Police Department will be suited best by maintaining these 2 programs for the spirit of recruitment.
Can I just piggyback off that real quick? I just wanted to add and remind the city of Jacksonville Beach that your neighbors over in Neptune Beach have implemented a really great recruitment tool in their healthcare plan. They have a 100% family healthcare plan that they offer to the officers over there. And so in terms of recruitment, we feel like Jax Beach needs to have that carrot as well. And for the last couple of years, these have been the carrots that we feel have helped in the recruitment effort here at the beach. And so I just wanted to make sure that the powers that be keep in mind that your neighbors do have a really good recruitment tool or a carrot, if you will. And we want to make sure that we keep something here that keeps us compatible with what's happening, around us.
We're definitely, we hear Karen and Ashley's argument that we're full now. Chief was very proud on Monday, I think it was Monday, to swear in our last 3 officers at Jacksonville Beach that brought us to fully staffed at 71. In my 12-year career at Jacksonville Beach, we've been fully staffed twice. Once when I was hired, and then about 10 years after that. So the fact that we are back, as Chief said, at the very enviable position as being fully staffed, it does not go unnoticed. But I'll ask you this. If you're leading the Daytona 500 25 laps in, you don't take your foot off the gas.
Right.
We see this educational incentive at only $5,000 cap and the $2,500 6-month bonus as a very, very small. You guys have done the heavy lifting. Council has done the heavy lifting. In the MOUs of 23 and 24, y'all took Jacksonville Beach to the highest starting pay of Northeast Florida, all the way out to the Panhandle and all the way down to Orlando. We hold that distinction. I had breakfast with the president of FOP 530 the other day. Nothing makes me prouder to sit there and tell him I'm still $312 higher than your starting pay.
That's Jacksonville's.
Jacksonville's. And we've seen the results. We've gone from a dozen down to fully staffed in a year since that MOU of 2024. The heavy lifting is being done. We see the 7,500, which other than the 2,500 is not a guarantee. That educational incentive is not taken advantage of by all officers. Some may already come pre-certified. Some may really only need it for brand new officers or those that are coming from out of state. So for instance, an officer that we hired from South Florida, the officer that we hired from Clay County, from St. John's, from Baker County, all of those officers, this $5,000 is just never utilized. And when we look at that educational incentive, the golden handcuffs that it puts on those employees of that 36-month where they have to pay back if they leave within that 36 months is huge. I think everybody up here, 2 of which are retired law enforcement, if you can hold on to a police officer for that 3-year time frame, you're probably going to get them for their career. Yeah. And we just see that $5,000 as cheap insurance to hold on to that employee, as well as just a way to maintain that competitive either parity with everybody else in Northeast Florida, or for some agencies, a real competitive advantage. Regarding the 2,500, again, we understand why it was removed. It was removed with the MOU of 2023, where we had to slowly start to ratchet up that starting pay. And what we did is I hate the word compression when it comes to pay scale. We took off the bottom and shaved off step 1. And by doing that, we moved away from a 6-month step to this $2,500 guaranteed payment. That payment is necessary, again, just to remain at the same level as all of the other agencies in Northeast Florida. I believe Neptune, Atlantic, I know that they all progress either within their step or they give a fixed step. I think JSO does. So that is just, again, it's a very, very small amount compared to the whole personnel budget. And then when we look at attrition, being fully staffed, 71, assuming a 25-year career out of our employees, we should ideally be seeing an attrition of about 3 people a year. We're talking about $22,500 if that attrition holds true. Assuming everybody takes the 7,500, assuming we only have 3 people leave, I could send everybody home for 1 hour on July 4th and probably save your $22,000 in overtime right there. So I think that it's a valuable tool. I would think that the recruiting division over at the police department, as well as everybody up through the chain of command, I know HR here, we've had great success with our recruiters working with the city HR people. I hate to see something we get such a great return on such a little investment. Not to mention all the marketing stuff we're going to have to redo if it goes away.
Yes. Cool. All right, so one thing I remain steadfast in is the pursuit of shift differential pay with the city. This side of the table has compromised on many issues to meet the needs of the city, and we're proud to work in good faith with y'all. My membership, I've spoken with them, and we are aggressively pursuing this because this will impact officers' health and wellness. It's something that's long overdue. Not a dime has ever been paid to an employee of Jacksonville Beach Police Department for shift differential, so the city has saved costs We're 50 years of savings. But the need is here and it's now. And this is an issue that generally does not get wide respect amongst a bargaining unit because it doesn't impact so many people. It's a small sect of people that will reap the benefit and this incentive pay. Yet, so many people that have come before us have gone without it, and they know that it is necessary for them because they didn't get it. But they see the need is there and it's now. I've talked extensively on the impacts of law enforcement careers on families. I think the city knows my position on that. I will always be for supporting mental health and physical health of a police officer. We do what a lot of people won't do, and we sacrifice much for our families. But I want to take this opportunity and advance the discussion so maybe that the city will come back with more information on why this is so important and how it can impact and benefit the city. This benefit will impact about 22 officers. This is the night shift, watches 1 and 3, and those guys and gals work from 5 p.m. to 3 a.m. and 9:30 p.m. to 7:30 a.m. And they're most directly impacted by working overnight. This program of shift differential pay will allow senior officers to seek back positions within these units, to allow sergeants and corporals who run these units to have a more tenured staff. That will help the training of an officer greatly. Currently, when an officer goes solo, in that first 5 years of his career, he is getting a lot of experience that will kind of gauge his ability to be a police officer. Without tenured officers on the shifts, that could impact the types of oversight he or she is seeing. We believe that this program will allow for squads to have more senior officers on the staff that will transition from different squads to the night shift. That will take the pressure off the sergeants and corporals in the event an active threat occurs, because the staff will be trained properly and he or she can now manage the squad appropriately with a well-trained staff. Our initial request was 4%. In the last meeting, it was characterized as a somewhat change when I asked to go down to 2%, but it's much more than a somewhat. It's a half cost that we've asked to reduce. I've also eliminated 11 downtown Cape positions, nearly cutting the total cost the city would incur by a third. This program will affect about 22 officers, and rough math is $40,000 to $50,000 a year. But the impacts of this shift differential pay will speak great on behalf of the city and the FOP for the morale of the men and women that work nights. I ask the city to reconsider with all this information, review the totality of the circumstances and the benefit not only to the police officers and their families, but to the city and the customer service they receive with more tenured officers on these night squads. I know our sergeants take on a lot when he or she is supervising 3 or 4 new employees. Some help with a tenured officer on those night shift as incentivized by shift differential will benefit the city, will benefit the residents, and will greatly benefit the department as a whole. This program will, shift differential pay is an industry standard. We just talked about Neptune Beach. Other agencies around us have it. Other agencies around us are going to it. I don't want to see us left behind by ignoring the fact that this is needed. It's something that's been neglected for too long. I'm adamant to stay on task with this, and I have trimmed the fat as much as I can to get to the point of who it needs it and who would benefit, and the low cost that the city would incur to deploy it. And I ask that you bring that back to Karen and Ashley and whoever's involved in decision making, and that we come to a compromise just as much to show as much as we have come to the table to compromise with y'all. We adamantly seek some movement on this, and I think we can get this done. And if there's more discussion that needs to be had on it, I stand ready to answer any questions on it.
I just want to make sure I got this down right. You said night shift, first and third watches. Is that?
Yes.
Okay.
There's,
and those hours, when?
so the first watch would start at 5 p.m. to 3 a.m.
Okay.
And there's 12 officers on both squads that collectively.
And then the other watch is?
9:30 p.m. to 7:30 a.m. And there's currently 10 officers that are impacted by that.
Okay.
And that includes 2 K-9 officer positions in those totals.
Yeah, We feel as though throughout the process, we kind of didn't fully articulate our intent for that, and we didn't want it to seem like a money grab. And I believe President O'Connell really, his monologue today hit on the fact that the intent is to incentivize those tenured officers to go to the night shifts. If Keith Breimer here, he's our FTO coordinator, he would tell you that having more senior FTOs is always a better option. You don't want babies teaching babies. And when you have night shifts that have very, very young officers, they really lack that organizational, institutional, that community knowledge that a more tenured officer brings.
And I wanted to just add one thing, because I don't know if it's been brought up, but we also would add language that managerial rights would remain with the city and the chief of police as they see fit with respect to reassignment of officers who receive shift differential pay. So what I mean by that is if an officer is working on a watch 1 or a watch 3 and is receiving shift differential pay, an issue arises and the need to move an officer to a day shift or a downtown Cape position or another unit, the ability to grieve the movement would not be tolerated or accepted. The city would maintain that right. So I want to make sure the city is aware of that as well. I think we have done everything we can to try to get to a conclusion with this, and I think that would, with that knowledge, I think that may get us there. So I just want to make sure the city's aware of that too. Okay.
That language is already in our incentive pays where it's not a right of the employee. So just kind of, I think in the way we propose it, it falls in under that. So
I appreciate you taking great notes on that. It means a lot to me, and I wait for your response.
Yeah, and I will, and I have no idea
Yes, sir.
when I'll be able to, and I guess it depends on how she's feeling, when I'll be able to, sort of debrief with Ms. Nelson, but I'll certainly get with her as soon as she's able to do that.
I mean, I'll save you time. She's going to say yes to everything. So
She can watch the video.
Did you get that?
Probably watching right now going, no.
Okay.
I say as we kind of wind down, just going down the list here, one of the things that we got back from you guys was the retirement healthcare funding plan. And that was when we proposed that to the city, we felt that was a huge benefit. And to get the memo that we got back last time was frustrating for me. And I wish I could tell Karen, not a video. Back in 2020, when Mr. Stefopoulos sat down and he introduced his team, his negotiating team, it signaled a significant shift. As he introduced everybody, one of the key people that he took away from what was at the table in prior city administrations was human resources. By removing human resources from the table, it returned HR to what it should be, as a resource for employees, not a weaponized arm of a rogue administration. Again, that was well before Mr. Stefopoulos' time. And to get a memo back that was so blatantly one-sided was frustrating, especially since we were told, and if I'm wrong, I'm sorry, but I was told that came from HR. And to have that negotiating team present something as a no to this body, as a no from HR, it didn't sit well. So what I want to do is just kind of take on a lot of the disadvantages that were spelled out in that memo that was crafted by HR and kind of hit them line by line, if you will, because they were given far greater weight than the little one-liner advantages, because I think that a lot of the concerns and limitations were based on a lack of knowledge, not necessarily a desire to shoot it down or to say no, but I just think there was a lot of I know it is brand new. It's not something that anybody in this city has ever done, and to my knowledge, anybody in the surrounding municipalities have ever done. But first and foremost, we cannot discount the triple tax savings of this plan. Any of the dollars that are paid into the plan, number one, they come from employees' accrued time. This isn't anything extra the city is paying. This is merely paying out accrued time from the city's time bank. And it's done triple tax savings, which is already pointed out in the memo, but it's done without taxes paid upfront, it grows tax-free, and then it is withdrawn by the employee in retirement for healthcare needs tax-free. So from the city savings, I don't know why they wouldn't want to save, that 6.5% right off the top of every dollar that's paid out. Not to mention, these payouts paid earlier in an employee's career are done at a far cheaper rate. I can tell you right now that it would have been a heck of a lot cheaper to pay me out in my 2014 dollar and my 2015 dollars than they're paying me now. So there's that savings as well. Not to mention, all this time I'm accruing, it's paid out at my end of career. I still got 12 years. So, Lord only knows, I'm expecting Scott to get another 200-300% in that 12 years. So, no. But, the first point talks about the mandatory participation for future employees. This is sold as a negative. I think it's a positive. When employees come to work for City of Jacksonville Beach, they're told you're going to contribute 7.95% mandatory contribution to your pension. A defined benefit is not a negative. In fact, it's what a lot of young people entering the workforce or post-military people are looking for. So saying that it's a mandatory contribution is a negative, we don't. There's over 100 municipal plans in the state of Florida and over 15,000 nationally that take advantage of this 115, I don't want to call it a loophole, but this advantage that the IRS tax code avails to use the specific benefit that we're proposing. If 15,000 plans across the nation were using it, I don't see it as a deterrent. I see it more as the city saying, we're thinking about you. We don't have a COLA in our pension. Of course, we've asked for it, but we don't have one. This is a way to help defer some of those retirement costs, and it's all spent by the city. It's accrued, by the employee. It's their time. It's their accrued time. The second one is the irrevocable opt-out. Kind of goes hand in hand. Yes, we know that there is a clause in that mandates that any current people covered in the bargaining unit must be given the option to opt out because obviously they were not in this plan when it was started. I spoke with the representative of the organization that we proposed, the MPPFA, and he said that few out of the thousands of people that are able to take advantage of this plan ever come back with regret to going into it. Because again, who wouldn't want tax-free? You can't get that. It's either pre-tax, post-tax. You either get your Roth, you get that great. What other plan, savings plan, can allow you that triple tax plan? So we talk about, the third point was the additional mandatory contributions. Again, they seem to be kind of hitting on that same point. It's mandatory, mandatory, mandatory. We see it as a huge benefit. We see it as a huge marketing tool to be able to tell employees you can sell your sick time. You can't convert it to vacation or anything else like a lot of these other agencies are doing. We allow you to sell back your sick time into this retirement healthcare savings plan to think about your retirement healthcare. We don't have a COLA, we know that. We'll stare that right in the face. But we have this other retirement investment vehicle to help kind of offset those pains in retirement. Once again, we talk about the rigid structure of the plan. Can never be withdrawn for anything other than qualified medical expenses, cannot be used before separation. Again, this is just like any other retirement product. Getting into my Roth, my 457. Yeah, there may be some loopholes, but at the end of the day, that's not what it's designed for. But what it provides the employees in retirement, the ability to use this fund, and I'll kind of get into, they talk about the HSA and the high deductible plan. This plan, unlike the high deductible savings plan with the HSA, can be used pre-Medicare for premiums. It can be used for dental. It can be used for vision. It can be used for out-of-pocket medical expenses. It can be used for anything and everything related to healthcare, post-retirement, up until and including the Medicare premiums. We understand there's going to be language that needs to be worked out. Heck, in our first proposal, it just said language to be written. We understand that the language that we're going to write has to conform to the legally tested, court-tested IRS guidelines, if you will. And in speaking with our contact there, he said that, yes, that is not a hurdle per se, but we have sample language, and the sample that we've proposed is for anybody that has a sick balance of 208 hours or more at the end of the calendar year, they will sell back 50 hours of their sick time to be paid into this retirement health care funding plan. That meets the IRS requirements. That's a little bit different from the original. We used the word can, and we found out later that the IRS doesn't like its citizens being able to make choices. So the word cannot appear. So it's will. So if their balance is over 208, they will contribute 50 hours of their sick time. But again, we see this as a benefit to the city. The city isn't carrying this as an unfunded liability to the end of the employee's career where they're paying it out. 200 hours still is a nice 1 year savings, 2 year savings for an employee, but it still provides that balance from an FMLA standpoint. You guys did agree to increase that donation cap to 280, combine that with the 200. Now we're up to 480. So God forbid there is that catastrophic, they're still going to have those hours. We accrue 96 a year. So selling back 50, again, we're just going to slowly erode what we're looking at as that unfunded liability. So that city's paying it out with that tax savings throughout the employee's career rather than waiting until the very end when they're, paying out tens of thousands of dollars. And then we didn't even touch on that. The institution of this retirement health care funding plan allows the bargaining unit to sell, as opposed to their end of career sellback going to cash and all the tax implications that come with that, that can go into retirement. So we're talking about thousands of hours vacation sick that can now be converted to this retirement health care funding plan rather than paid out by cash. So the city's saving money on that. I don't know, and I'm hoping it was just an unfamiliarity and just that uncomfortable with the unknown. That's why we got the hard no last time. And we're just really hoping to talk through this, because other than the minimal, which was noted in here, represents another increased payroll deduction, other than the minor administrative cost, if you will, the time that's spent on that, it does nothing but save the city money year over year. And we'd be willing talking about, and we brought this up in the first meeting, Article 20, when it comes to vacation. There is currently a provision in there that allows for the sellback of up to 16 or 32 hours based on certain criteria for employees. We'd be willing to revisit that to make it almost cost neutral for the city. And the thought process is we can currently sell back up to 32 hours of vacation a year, and we can currently convert up to 16 hours of sick into vacation. To be honest, I don't think anybody liked the unround number of 48, so we just chose 50. But again, we're just hoping that I can extol how important this is to the membership and what a benefit it will be, not only to us, but saving the city money, which is, I guess everybody wants to save the city money. We're just going to ask for it back in, next negotiation, but at least we're going to try and save the city money. I don't know if you guys have any questions about it. I know this was more of a one-sided for us, knowing going in,
Yeah.
Karen was ill.
Yeah. No, I think I was following you, and I'm like zoning in, and I think I captured all of that. I don't have anything.
Again, it's, it is a big deal to us. Seeing how expensive a COLA is, we have to find other ways to add legs. We look at retirement as a table. How many legs can you add to that table? This is another table leg for us. And the fact that we found a product that can save the city that money, we just don't, it's just, in our opinion, it's a win-win win for everybody. I couldn't shut him up on the phone the other day. Now he's got nothing to say.
She's doing a good job, right?
So we'll roll right into, now that we're talking about retirement, we'll roll right into pension. So first and foremost, I want to thank everybody on y'all's team for doing exactly what we asked, and that was tell us how much their proposal costs. Let the membership kind of decide. Let them see. Just being told that's too expensive just isn't. We're cops. We're inherently, inquisitive. But seeing on paper, oh, that's expensive. So to that, I'd like to start off by saying thank you, being able and being provided the actual numbers. That being said, we did hold a labor meeting. We held a straw poll to kind of gauge the sentiment, and the membership overwhelmingly said that the COLA, they felt that the increased cost, which was being passed to them, which they understood, was not valuable considering the benefit on the back end, meaning them paying an extra over 4% in their contribution rate to only receive a 3% COLA in their mind was not a good return on their investment. So that being said, we'll abandon the idea of the COLA, but not without, again, saying thank you for that. In terms of the backdrop, we really wish the city would have explored the Gainesville model. I only call it that because that's the first one I found, which allowed either the fixed rate or the sliding scale. However, 3.5% does represent movement. It's well under what our proposal was at 6%. It's well under what historically the pension fund has returned on its investment. But again, we feel comfortable that 3.5% is at least movement in the right direction. Regarding the cap, we understood why the cap was put in place let me put it this way. We understand, but we don't agree with it. And I said in the first meeting that the dollar amount cap is a backstop to a backstop to a backstop. And all it does is it penalizes for all the wrong reasons. Not only that, when you look when it was put in place, 2014 was fully instituted, the cap was 90,000 when that first contract went into effect. If you take the average since then of Social Security is 2.73% every year, and the CPI is done 2.77. So just in 2025 alone, we're up to 120,600 on Social Security and 121,000 on CPI. So that's the value of that dollar over time. The city's counter at 110 still falls well below, and that's this year. We still have 3 years. We're negotiating forward for three years for the contract. That would put the Social Security, again, assuming a consistent 2.73 for Social Security and 2.77 for CPI, respectively, that would put the Social Security up, the value of that at 131,000 and 131,600 for CPI. So we feel that, although 110 is movement in the right direction, we're sitting at 120 now. Our proposal was to remove the cap. We'd like to come back 115 as kind of, we appreciate the city's forward movement, but we feel it penalizes so much. It has, can essentially force top talent to retire early, and all the time and money that we've invested in executives, not to mention good executives are hard to find. And when they're reaching this cap and they're essentially throwing away money, there's no incentive to stay. So it's kind of counterproductive. But I think that's all we had on Article 21. So the 115.
115.
Yes, sir. The backdrop, 3.5 is a step in the right direction. We understand there's a cost to everything. We'd like to highlight that the chapter monies, which I think that's the first time I've brought it up this time, and usually it's a very sore subject, as Elise is laughing. It's a very sore subject to me. We're up to over 340,000. When I started negotiating, we were barely cracking 100,000 back in 2017. So in 7 years, we've seen the value of those premium tax returns back to the municipality over double. So there really hasn't been a doubling of the benefits. Not to mention the actuarial statement that just came out that showed over the next 6 years that the City of Jacksonville Beach contribution, or the expected contribution for the employer to the police plan, is actually going to be cut in half by the fiscal year 2029. And that came right from GRS. It's the only one of the 3 plans, misspoke, the only one of the 2 active plans that is going to see general employees are expected to maintain kind of right around the same number at about 3.4, 3.5 million. The police is actually going to drop from 1.1 million down to a little over 500,000. And that doesn't even include the fact that in fiscal year 2027, that's the last year the City of Jacksonville Beach is going to make its $700,000 contribution to the now closed fire plan. And then that cost is going to be solely borne by the City of Jacksonville as that rate drops. So, you know, where there's the chapter money, as Elise laughed, I haven't made it an issue this time. We do understand that we've asked for some pension enhancements, and we like the city to consider that holistically, that their costs are going to be dropping over the next, are projected to drop over the next couple of years. Combine that with the 185 monies, seeing consistent exponential growth, you know, along with the modest asks that we've had in the benefits, or the enhancements to the defined benefit system. I'm just going to sip my tea now.
Very good.
Thank you.
And our last discussion will be on wages. We stay with a 5-5 wage reopener. The city last came with a 5-4 wage reopener discussion. And I want to just submit some information regarding current events. The city of Jacksonville is politically diverse, yet they came together recently with new budget proposals, and the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office budget requests have been met. They saw two prongs that needed to be addressed, which is recruitment and retention. They had a large amount of officers leaving due to retirement, seeking private sector, and even leaving law enforcement because of the things that officers are going through. They have turned that ship around through their incentive programs and their increased salaries and pay. And we feel very strongly that we need to maintain competitive edge with the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office. Our next wave of officers leaving will be during the conclusion of this contract. And we want to remain a marketing force with pay and benefits that meets the advertising wages that the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office has. They're a larger agency. Their ability to attract is great, but we have a lot to offer. We can't fall backwards after coming so far, and we're talking 1%. The costs are minimal, yet to be able to stay in that pay with the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, we're not falling behind. The Jacksonville Beach Police Department has fallen behind enough. We need to be that marketing edge, that competitive edge that can stay consistent. I believe this is a low-cost need or meet that we can come to a conclusion on, the 5-5. And we still have that third year to have discussions with respect to compromise when we come back to the table in 2027. The retirement plan for the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office is about to change as well, and that could further hinder people from making a selection to other agencies. We want the best and the brightest. We represent a 24,000 population that has our back. However, any given time, the city can be overwhelmed with folks that come from out of town, 75,000 plus. So we need the best and the brightest talent here to protect the residents, the visitors, and to have a quality of life that matches other agencies. We feel that a 5-5 is not out of line. It's not a money grab, and it will keep us competitive. And we ask the city to strongly reconsider meeting that. And that, like I said, the third year wage reopener would be the time for compromise. And I look forward to coming back to the table at that time. That's all I have with respect to information on behalf of the membership. JJ or Mark, do you have any additions or comments I missed?
No, I think you've done a really good job of explaining it, and I would probably just be regurgitating what you've already said if I made comments. Mark?
Did you have questions, as I saw a look on your face, about the fire is it, I don't know if it's a bond or the last payment for
Yeah, it's just-
Jacksonville.
Yeah, it's just the interlocal, and in fiscal year 27 will be their last payment, 707,653, and that was set when we contract the service. So that'll end according to the actuary, and then that's what the city of Jacksonville Beach, that's when they'll stop paying for the firefighter pension. And everything I got was just from GRS's last actuarial report that they put out in May.
Coming fresh off the membership meeting, I wanted to say thank you for not canceling this meeting. It was very important for us to get that information out while it was just received by our membership. So I know you took on a lot of information. We make ourselves available as we plan this next meeting, and we look forward to the response. With Karen and Ashley's absence, will we communicate with email for the next meeting, or do you have any feedback on that?
I think I have access to Karen's calendar. We can certainly take a look.
Okay.
I don't know if I have unfettered access.